Good morning to you all here. A happy Sunday, March 9th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. If you guys can't hear by the sound of my voice here, I'm very stuffy and gross. I think it's allergies or something. I don't know what is going on, but just definitely not feeling it today. But we're going to get through this. We've got a lot to talk about today. We've got our significant severe weather outbreak that is more than likely becoming a thing as we go towards the middle and end of next week, potentially even a tornado outbreak likely next week. The models are really honing in on a Friday, Saturday event next week, basically from Wisconsin all the way down to Louisiana and east of that. So, and the Storm Prediction Center's already issued a day 6 and a day 7 weather outlook for those severe risk zones. So we'll talk about that here in a second. I want to talk about really quickly what's on your screen here. We do have what's left over from this upper level low that's moving in across the southeast right now, bringing us general rain and isolated thunderstorms up here to Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. This is actually a severe weather risk for the rest of this afternoon, this morning and this evening for Florida and southern Georgia. There's an occasional isolated tornado risk that we could see somewhere here from Tallahassee over to southern Georgia into Jacksonville, Florida. There's also a damaging wind threat of up to 60 miles per hour, and we've also got a small hail threat today. And you can actually see there was a couple severe thunderstorm warnings here a little bit ago. We've got some marine warnings as these storms are moving off. Watching a storm moving through Tallahassee as we speak this morning here, but I'm going to give you guys just kind of a run through here on what the radar could look like over the next couple of hours. This just gives you guys in a nutshell what we could see as the system works its way off the East Coast. But isolated showers and thunderstorms continuing through this afternoon. Could see a pretty strong storm maybe developing around the Tallahassee area between 3 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. Other than that, general widespread rainfall across majority of the northern region outside of that risk zone. Things kind of ramp up a little bit more this afternoon into the overnight hours, and this low continues to spit out rain. So we also need to watch out for the threat for flash flooding in these areas that do see training of thunderstorms or lots of rain within hours of a very heavy rate of rainfall within a couple hours. So just something to be mindful of here. This will continue through Monday, much of the day on Monday before exiting the coastline along the Tuesday morning time frame. There could be a conditional isolated risk zone that gets issued for Monday, maybe along South Carolina and the far extreme portions of North Carolina beachline area and then into Georgia. So we'll kind of see if SPC does that, but this mostly should be off the coastline as we go through tomorrow afternoon and Tuesday morning. Now, I did mention the threat of a significant severe weather outbreak as well as possibly even a tornado outbreak as we get towards next Friday and Saturday. We're going to be watching two different factors as I've been explaining over the last couple days in our videos. A shortwave trough ejecting across the plains and the Rockies coming in on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday that could bring a low and severe weather risk to Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. We'll talk about that here in just a minute on our model runs, but I want to talk about what the Storm Prediction Center has already done. And as per usual, when you have confidence in severe weather, I kind of mentioned this yesterday, if we were to get a day 6 or day 7 outlook, we do have now a severe weather risk zone that's issued by SPC for your Friday, day 6, March 9th, or not March 9th, this will be March 14th here. For Friday. If you're in this risk zone, this is a level 2 out of 5, so this is already a slight risk in place, and they've already mentioned in their description that higher probabilities more than likely will be issued. We are expecting a pretty significant severe weather event next week, guys. This could also be one of the largest severe weather events we've seen since last year. We're also going to have a blizzard component and a strong wind of component to as well with this, but if you're in this risk zone here that's shaded, I'm also considerably in that risk zone. This extends from basically southeastern Iowa, down and through Illinois, most of Missouri, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, all of Arkansas, most of Louisiana, East Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and Mississippi and Alabama. Now, this is through Friday from 6 a.m. Friday morning to Saturday, 6 a.m. I do expect this risk zone to more than likely maybe extend up a little bit. We more than likely will get an enhanced risk somewhere in here. I think this is a little too early to speak, but if things continue to trend up, I wouldn't even rule out a moderate risk by the time we get to day 2 or day 1. High risk still really unknown at this point. I just don't see that right now. We'll have to see what our high-res models do as we get closer to the middle of next week, but definitely looking at a robust, significant event next week, and this could be a very long durational event on Friday into Saturday as we kind of get there. And I did mention there being a risk zone on Saturday as well. The Storm Prediction Center has also highlighted a level 2 slight risk here for Tennessee down through most of all of Alabama, western Georgia, southeast Mississippi, and this is going to be to a secondary surface load that's going to develop, giving us maybe even a more isolated threat for some supercells for potential for tornadoes and maybe even a squall line. I wouldn't be surprised if they extended this up into Kentucky and southern Ohio as well due to instability. We'll kind of watch the trends on that and see what they do, but guys, if you are not prepared for this coming up week, it is going to be a long week of severe weather, potentially Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday as we see this mega trough ejection. And this has got very good potential to be a very historic storm. When I say that, pressure, I mentioned yesterday, could be in the 960s to 970s. We could see a very robust high wind event with this. We could see a tornado event with this. There is a lot of things on the table for this event, and as we get closer to this, we'll continue to fine-tune that forecast for you guys. Now, as we get ready to talk about this massive storm that we're going to see next week, we're going to kind of walk through the GFS model here and talk to you guys about what we're going to see. European model still on the outside skirts of what the GFS is showing. A little bit of a weaker storm, also a little bit of a low or a lag in our progressive portion of our low. So we're going to stick with the GFS right now and kind of go with there. And if we see the Euro trend or the GFS trend in a different direction, we'll start to kind of show both models. But still, once again, really going to go with the GFS here. It's been the best consistency as far as our trends go. You guys can see on your screen here our upper level disturbance. It's moving, like I said, off the coastline of the southeast here by Monday night into Tuesday morning. That'll continue to bring rain showers and an isolated severe weather risk today to the southeast coastline down there in Florida and Georgia. That will move its way off, and then we kind of get a ridge, a short-term ridge that develops on Monday and Tuesday behind that system. And then I want you guys to pay attention once again here to that secondary trough, our first trough that's going to move in here, a shortwave trough, that this is going to bring us the threat for some type of severe weather, maybe into Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, maybe even getting up into Missouri. We haven't had a SPC outlook yet. They've mentioned it for the Ark-La-Tex and Mississippi Valley area, so we'll see when they do decide to pull the plug for Wednesday and Thursday's event. But definitely a low-end severe weather risk that you need to be mindful of for your Wednesday afternoon and Thursday across those areas. And then I want you guys to see this, guys. The consistency with this storm next week has been off the charts crazy. We were looking at this storm like 10 days ago, 7 to 10 days ago out, and you know, we were like, all right, is this going to trend? Is it going to trend? It's done nothing but trend, and we're now in that 6-day range, 7-day range now, where SPC's already issued a risk zone. We know that we're going to get some type of major storm next week. The fine details of just trying to get short range models and medium range models in, that'll be coming as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, so about 48 hours, and we'll have even a better window here of opportunity to give you guys a better nailed down forecast for this event next week. I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about different events that could relate to this. There definitely are a lot out there. Don't want to say that this is going to be like March 31st, 2023 again, but we kind of had the same similar setup, a little bit different instability wise, dew point wise, all of that, etc. There's always a difference when your storms, but you can look at some storms and past events and kind of analog them is what I'm saying, just to kind of give a future reference of what we could see. So this does have a very, very high ceiling event next weekend and a low floor. So we could see a bust, we could see a big tornado outbreak, we could see in the middle. So a lot of things to kind of figure out here. But I want you guys to see, look at this low pressure system that develops by Friday afternoon. We've got a probably 960 to 970 millibar low. This would be a bomb cyclone once again. This basically means that the pressure drops very, very rapidly within a 24-hour period. That's what that term comes from. You've got very, very cold air that's going to come in on the backside of this. There also will be very, very high winds associated with the low in general. When you have a pressure drop like that you see, you typically get that wind field to expand out, and you get tight pressure gradients that give you strong winds, even if you don't see thunderstorms or rain or snow. So this mid-latitude cyclone is going to move its way off to the northeast. That's one piece. There should be a chance for severe weather as far as Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, where that northern portion of the low is going to be. Now you get a secondary low, as I mentioned, for Saturday's event that's going to kind of come in late Friday night into Saturday. It's going to kick up a little bit more instability and a little bit more moisture, giving us the threat for that Saturday event where we saw SPC highlight for Mississippi and Alabama. And I do think we need to really, really watch that Saturday event. The instability is kind of downtrended and uptrended and downtrended and uptrended, so we're going to have to kind of wait and see what happens as we get closer. But definitely looking at a widespread severe weather event as we go through Friday and Saturday here with our troughing pattern. You can see a very, very strong mid-level jet moving across the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley and the Ozarks down there and into the Mississippi Valley. And then after that system moves out on Monday, we get a little bit of a lull and then potentially even another system coming in behind this one. So we're going to have a pretty active stretch for the rest of March here before things might potentially quiet down, maybe, just maybe, for the last week of March before April and May get here. And you guys all know April and May are our tornado season. So another thing I want to show you guys is that low-level jet. We will have lots of shear in the lower levels. Once again, tornado genesis going to be a big factor. And you guys can see, look at that low-level jet going into Friday afternoon. Very, very strong winds in those lower levels and intensifying through Friday night into Saturday morning. And then that secondary low comes in, giving us that threat for severe weather down in the southeast. Here's kind of an idea on the dew points, on what we could see with our dew points. I'd like to go through these because these give us an idea of where the warm sector could set up at, where our isolated supercell threat and stronger tornado potential could be, or damaging wind potential here. And you can see as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, a little bit of a severe weather threat, like I mentioned, down into the Mississippi Valley, the Ark-La-Tex there. And then we see those dew points surge. And once again, nothing but trending up with our open warm sector over the last 3 to 4 days, which is giving us more of a confidential risk zone here. Why SPC has already highlighted that risk zone. We could see a very strong warm sector. Even though your dew points up here into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois are not into the 60s, I do think there's still a pretty decent threat for some isolated supercells that could produce a couple tornadoes, maybe some damaging winds. But the main event will be down here along that warm front and your Pacific front that sets up Friday night into Saturday and through Saturday as those dew points continue to surge east there. And then Sunday, still a little bit in question on what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got a mid-Atlantic East Coast severe weather risk zone issued eventually at some point down the road. Now, one more thing I want to show you guys here is going to be just the idea of what our precip could look like, and then we'll wrap the video up here, and we'll kind of go more in depth later on the live stream tonight. But you guys can see there's our chance of a severe weather threat Wednesday afternoon. Then here comes our system. Look at this, guys. Once again, 969 millibar low, 970 there. That would be very, very strong. A lot stronger than what we just saw at the beginning of this week. You will have some type of snow component to this, maybe some freezing rain and some sleet behind this with blizzard conditions probably up in the Dakotas and North Nebraska. You see the severe weather side of this up here into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Very isolated threat. We'll kind of see how this unfolds here. You're like, all right, why are we in a severe weather risk zone if there's barely any conduction showing up? These are global models, so they don't really handle the overall warm sector and what our model or what our radar could look like in the future very well, especially when you're so far out. But that risk zone also accompanies for that secondary load that's going to come in. And this is going to be Friday night into Saturday morning as we see a more robust severe weather event kind of go across from Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee down into Mississippi and Alabama, and then work its way east off the coastline before potentially seeing another system set up not even a couple days after that. So we've got a lot of things we've got to watch over the next couple of days, guys. I'll keep you guys updated on that. We'll continue to have live streams as well. Don't forget, we'll start rolling out our brief sub-only live streams that'll kind of give more in-depth weather analysis for people that are located in areas. You guys can sub on stream and on my channel as well if you're wanting to be a part of that. We'll still have our regular live streams as always and live coverages and videos as always for everybody. But I want to start giving back to those people as well that do sub. So I do appreciate y'all for watching this. Share this video out. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.